Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you pitch me your predictions for the theme park world, and I either buy or sell them and explain why. If you want your idea considered for the next video, leave a comment below starting with buy or sell. In this episode, we look at how Falcon's flight could affect Intamin's future, if we're about to see the end of the hydraulic launch era, and what's up with this mystery record-breaking launch coaster replacing Kingda. This is Buy or Sell, episode 36. Let's start with 317 Dom. If Falcon's flight is a bust, then less parks will work with Intamin. Intamin is always about taking risks. They've been on the cutting edge for decades now, and I think everyone in the industry knows that. Cedar Fair loved Intamin for pushing the limits, getting Millennium Force, Accelerator, Dragster, Maverick, I-305, and it hasn't always worked out for them. It seems like they had a string of failures that soured that relationship, but in the end, you gotta go back and remember, this is the manufacturer that's willing to take a risk. Why Shoot the Rapids had issues? That I don't know, it was a boat ride. Regardless, Falcon's flight is without a doubt the craziest coaster project ever built. Even though its track is finished and seems to be on track to open this year, a lot of people aren't convinced that it will. There's a lot of reasons for this, but it's possible the ride is just too big and powerful and becomes a maintenance nightmare. Even if this is the case, I'm selling this hurting their reputation. They've been crushing it as of late, building mega coasters, swing launch coasters, family style coasters. The industry pays attention to all this, and since they'll never ask for a 600-foot, 150-mile-an-hour coaster that spans 14,000 feet of track, they won't let this project overshadow the success of the products they might actually order. Evelyn Hernandez. Not everything Six Flags announced in 2026 will open in 2026. Six Flags really dumped a lot of information on us, some coaster related, some not. We learned about water attractions at Carowinds and Canada's Wonderland, water park upgrades at Knott's, family additions at Kings Island and Six Flags Great America, and new coasters at Magic Mountain, Over Texas, Great Adventure, and Mexico. This probably isn't the whole list, but this is a lot, and I'm buying at least one of these not actually happening in 2026. We may even find out which one by the end of next summer. When they make all their official announcements for the year, you may see something change or be left out entirely. None of them stand out above the rest. When you look at the coasters, Magic Mountain already got delayed a year. Over Texas and Great Adventure remove coasters that add these new ones. And Mexico is just getting a family boomerang. Hard to believe that's going to get scrapped. I guess if I had to pick one to be left out, it might be Carowinds' record-breaking water ride. Still, not sure which one, but I bet one doesn't make it all the way to completion by 2026. No grave holds me. Cedar Point will remove Daily Fastlane Plus only having one use for new coasters. In the past, Cedar Fair let you ride their new rides as many times as you wanted with the Fastlane. That was different from other parks, Six Flags, SeaWorld, Dollywood. They would limit you to one, and that was because they had a computerized system. There would be someone scanning your FlashPass pod or your phone to let you into the queue. Some parks like Silver Dollar City use a punch card. Cedar Fair just had a wristband, and you showed that wristband to the employee and you're in. Starting last year, they introduced Fastlane scanners, and you gotta scan in to gain access. This gives them so much more power to restrict your access, and you bet they're gonna take it. I'm selling this. I bet they don't remove the one-use policy. Top Thrill 2, Siren's Curse, Alpine Fury, maybe even Rapterra. Be prepared to be limited to one ride even if you swing for the Fastlane Plus. Becky Myers. A new generation Vekoma Wildcat or Bermuda Blitz is built in the US in the next 5 years. So far, we have only seen one Vekoma Wildcat, that's Phoenix at Faroop Summerland, and we've seen one Bermuda Blitz, that's Slut Coaster at Legendia. These coasters are almost identical in stats, about 130 feet tall, 59 miles an hour, 3,000 feet of track, 3 inversions, and they have powerhouse layouts. The one difference is the Wildcat is a step down in intensity, having a straight drop and not a twisted one. Everyone who has ridden these seems to love them, but I'm selling this coming to America. In fact, it's kind of telling we've only seen one of each get built worldwide. I think it's the same reason we've only seen one Hyper GTX like Lightning Run. It's hard to market this coaster. It's not tall, or fast, or under the track, or on the side of the track. It has a few inversions. It may be great to a coaster enthusiast, but how are you going to sell it to the general public? Records and gimmicks are everything, and if you're going to invest $10 million or more into a ride, you might as well go with something that's easier to sell. It's a shame, but that's business. Frightened Potato. Six Flags manufacturers of choice will become Vekoma and B&M. Before the merger, Cedar Fair had a great relationship with B&M. Also, did some work with GCI, SNS, Zamperla, and they just got their feet wet with Vekoma this year. Six Flags has always worked with Premier Rides, SNS, RMC, and as of late, they're finding certain B&M and Intamin products they can afford. Cedar Fair didn't work well with Intamin or RMC. Six Flags didn't work well with Gerstlauer. And we haven't yet seen how the new chain is going to treat these manufacturers in the doghouse. The reason I'm going to buy this is because B&M and Vekoma haven't made either chain mad. B&M is expensive, but reliable. Vekoma is innovative, but their new products have been successful. Also, I don't think they cost as much. I'd expect these two manufacturers to be their number 1 and number 2 going forward. Griffin. The Kingda replacement will be over 400 feet tall and will be built by Intamin. Great Adventure really threw a wrench into the story when they announced what was coming in 2026. All we know is that it's going to be a multi-record breaking launch coaster. That puts to bed all the speculation that a B&M Giga could take over the Kingda spot. However, it doesn't tell us anything else. When you think of a multi-record breaking launch coaster in the context of Kingda, you're thinking height and speed. But if they're going to try to take down those records, they're going to have to break Falcon's flight records, and that's beyond ambitious. It also makes sense to reuse the tower, make it a swing launch, give it a back spike, and claim it as the tallest and fastest swing launch coaster. That's the most sensible, cost-efficient way to do this. However, the park seems to be insisting this will not be a new version of Kingda, the way Top Thrill 2 is a new version of Top Thrill Dragster. This leads me down two other roads. This newly merged chain is going to break the bank and get something crazy from the ground up. Or they're going to build something much smaller and break a more specific record, like steepest spinning coaster or something like that. We haven't seen how the new chain wants to handle Great Adventure, so we can't use precedent as a clue, but we do know if this was the old Six Flags, they'd be all in on reimagining Kingda, or setting a cheap, overly specific record. Assuming they don't turn Kingda into a swing launch coaster, I think they split the difference and do something both ambitious and cheap. That mock ride spinning tower coaster makes a lot of sense, so I'm selling Intamin. ML Designs has a great rendering of this, please go check out that full video. This has a launch, an upside down launch, a twist up a tower. This could stand 400 feet, so that part may be true. Then it goes down and does it all backwards. This has been on pass holder surveys. It would definitely break spinning launch coaster records, and Six Flags may see it as a worthy replacement of Kingda. It makes enough sense to believe it, and I think they can only go for something extreme to justify removing this icon. Modern Dissident. When California's Great America closes, some of its rides will go to Discovery Kingdom. When Great America's closure was first announced, I made a video talking about the best fit for all the coasters in the chain, and also gave a more realistic view. Sadly, only a few coasters made sense to move. The rest are near the end of their service lives, or they're wooden, so there aren't too many options here. I can see Railblazer, Psycho Mouse, and Lucy's Krabby Cabbies being moved. The rest, not so much. Still, I'm buying this because it's not just about coasters, it's about all the rides. And given how close Great America is to Discovery Kingdom, it seems irresponsible not to move one or two of the 50-some miles. They have an Enterprise, Flying Scooters, Wave Swinger, Zamperla Disco, and in the end, it would make a lot of sense to move Railblazer to this park also. It fits into its height limit, it's compact like all the other new coasters at the park. I just don't know if the chain wants to move it to a park where it'll make them more money. I don't know when Great America is going to shut down, but assuming Discovery Kingdom is still part of the chain and hasn't been traded to SeaWorld, they're going to get something. Danielle Ferguson. Magic Mountain's first of its kind North America coaster will be a mock striker coaster. This was another interesting nugget coming from the press release. Magic Mountain getting a first of its kind coaster in North America. We knew they were getting a new coaster. It was supposed to come in 2025 and got pushed back a year. The teaser had some cycling theme, so you could take that literally or tie it in more to a theme. I'm selling the Mock Striker, mainly because it's hard to sell that as a first of its kind in North America. Most people don't know what a striker coaster is. It's launched and it has inversions. There are lots of coasters that do that already. Magic Mountain already has 2 of them, and one will be right next to this new coaster. I think the first of its kind marketing will be more easy to see. That's why I mentioned the Access coaster. Others have mentioned the Vekoma suspended motorbike coaster. This is a new model that hasn't been built yet. It fits the cycling theme. It falls in line with the chain's relationship with Vekoma. The only thing is, if this is totally brand new, why say it's the first in North America and not the world? Unless another one is set to open before 2026, we'll just have to keep guessing. Brick. Over the next decade, RMC's premier model changes from the iBox to the Raptor. From 2011 to 2018, RMC was all about their iBox and topper track wooden coasters. Their single rail Raptor model opened a bunch of new doors for them, giving parks the option for a cheap, compact, extreme coaster. And it was slow at first, but now they seem to be flying off the shelf. All 3 of their upcoming debuts are single rail coasters, so I'm buying this. It seems to be already happening. The last 2 iBox projects were Air Force One and Wildcat's Revenge, not counting Fire in the Hole. That's a whole other can of worms that RMC offers. They don't have any iBox projects in the works, and who knows when they'll open their next one. Since they got started with New Texas Giant, they have never had more than a 1-year gap between iBox or Topper Track projects, and we're getting our first 2-year gap with 2025 coming up. The single rail coaster has proven its worth, and more parks around the world are catching on. Joseph Watts. Dollywood's upcoming dark ride is an RMC version of Blazing Fury. Dollywood is spending $50 million on their new indoor attraction. That's a ton of money, but when you look at how much Silver Dollar City spent on Fire in the Hole, yeah, that was $30 million. This could be an elaborate dark ride, it could be an indoor coaster, but it makes so much sense for this to be a new Blazing Fury, so I'm buying this. I don't know if they go with RMC once again. Maybe they decide to use the Blazing Fury theme and do something more with it. I mentioned the Intamin lift and launch in the last episode. That could be used to make for an awesome indoor themed coaster, but everything just seems to be lining up for Blazing Fury 2.0. Silver Dollar City just did it. We know they're looking at an indoor ride. Do the math, it makes sense. Jackson Bachman and I Love Roller Coasters 9. All hydraulic launch coasters close in the next 5 years. There are 12 coasters that are currently operating and using a hydraulic launch. Formula Rosa could still reopen as it was, but that's up in the air. All of these coasters are getting old. Accelerator is the oldest at 22 years old, and Furious Baco is the youngest at 17 years old. These may be tough to maintain, but their parks have put up with them for close to or more than 2 decades. I'm selling them all being gone in 5 years. No doubt, not all 12 will still be open by then. Some may trade their launch for LSMs, especially the ones that don't need a lot of speed, like Rita or Speed Monster or Madugani. Accelerator is the one left in the Six Flags chain. Keep your eye on that one. Aside from that, I'd bet most of these are safe, at least in the short term. Andrew Clue. Cedar Point will add a Christmas event in the next 5 years. Over the years, most parks have found a way to extend their season through Christmas, but Cedar Point always calls it quits after Halloween. It's no surprise, they're in northern Ohio. Those winters are brutal. This was attempted in 1994. It was called Christmas in the Park, and they never did it again. Obviously, you have a park like Cedar Point that's so popular, and it sucks it's only open 6 months a year. They'd love to stay open and rake in the money, but their location is just terrible. I'm selling this. Not only is it too cold to run the rides, even if they wanted to just make it a lights event, they have a hard time staffing the park. Not only is it cold there, they need to import a lot of their workforce, Sandusky being kind of far from Cleveland or any other big population center. It's just telling that they tried it once and never dare to do it again. Sam Block. Six Flags merges with or acquires the Busch Gardens or Hershey parks in the next 8.5 years. I'm sure everyone's knee-jerk reaction will be to say, no way, but it's not that crazy. We have seen major mergers and acquisitions before. Think about all the Paramount parks being wedged into the Cedar Fair chain. Think about Premier Parks buying Six Flags and creating a mega chain. Some people forget Six Flags America, Kentucky Kingdom, New England, Discovery Kingdom, and a whole bunch of others were in the Premier chain. And in 1998, they joined Magic Mountain and Great Adventure and Great America and all the legacy Six Flags parks, becoming the Six Flags we came to know and love. So, do I see something like this happening again in the next decade? It's possible, but I'm selling it. The new Six Flags Cedar Fair chain is already huge as it is, and they'll have plenty to deal with what they have. They don't need to add all the Hershey or Palace or Busch Gardens parks to the mix. Maybe Hershey buys the Palace parks and we see another chain grow like that, but I think Six Flags gets rid of parks before adding anything new. Not to mention, if they were to swallow up another chain, that would have to get government antitrust approval, and I'm not convinced they'd be able to get it this time. That's a wrap on episode 36. Let me know what you think about any of these topics, if you agree or disagree, and why. Also, don't forget, if you want your idea considered for the next video, leave it in the comments below, starting with buy or sell. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, and if you want to see my annual buy or sell wins and losses next month, please give me a sub. I have a playlist with all the buy or sell episodes. Also, check out my second channel, where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.